This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I am here with Mr. Zane Caplan, otherwise known as Mr. Zane Caplansky.
I'm only Zane Caplansky.
You have changed your name?
I'm legally Zane Caplansky, and I don't even respond to Zane Caplan any longer. Uh-huh. It's almost like a previous life for me. And in fact, it's a really big part of what I've done here. Changing my name has been part of reclaiming my identity and becoming who I think I was meant to be.
I understand that. Now, you weren't born into a deli family or a restaurant family. You were born into a family more involved in politics, were you now?
That's true, but at the same time, my father was a founding partner in the Lamb Ricky's restaurants in the 80s, and clearly I'm part of an eating family. So what we do for food and around food has always been part of the fabric of my life, and vacations have always been eating a meal and talking about where we're going to eat the next meal. So food has been an integral part of my life since I grew up. But I will also say that when I was a little boy, and you'd say to me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would always tell you that I want to own a restaurant.
So not a fireman, it was always you wanted to own a
I
restaurant?
want to own a restaurant. And there is something about the magic of these places that just thrills me. You know, there's an old saying in the restaurant business that grocery stores are in the food business, but restaurants are in the people business. And it couldn't be more true. The relationships that we have with our customers, with our suppliers. A few moments ago, Jeremy came in from Coslicks, and we had a funny little exchange here. It's really important to me. The Silverstein's Bakery people, the St. Helens Meat people, the Augusta Fruit people. You know, it's even Louis at Nicolau. You know, the characters that I deal with in this world really are what defines who I am.
Well, I noticed that you really do serve an artisanal product here, all the way from your famous sandwiches, all the way through to your beer selection and your wine selections. You really do you pull from some interesting sources. When did you make the decision to go down that route?
I'm glad you asked that, because it really was a very conscious choice for me that if I'm going to put my name on the door, I want everything that we serve to be the very best that it can be. And if we don't make it from scratch here in-house, I only want to deal with other suppliers who are like me, who make it small batch the old-fashioned way. So I wanted this deli to be a representation of my take on a classic Jewish deli. And to me, the best Jewish delis are the ones where the booby is in the back making the matzah balls, and it's done with the old recipe that came from the old country. And that's what I try and do as much as possible here.
Now, when did you actually move into the restaurant business? Because originally, I was hearing from a couple of people you actually did quite well in the .com boom.
I was a .com millionaire for a short time.
Were you?
In fact, I was indeed. And this is part of the former Zane Caplan identity that I'm not embarrassed about or ashamed of by any means, but I think I also don't want to sound like I'm blaming anybody, but I will say that I never felt like I was particularly encouraged to follow my dream into restaurants. That going into politics, I worked in government for many years.
Oh,
I was an assistant.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I was an assistant to David Peterson when he was the Premier of Ontario, and I was an assistant to John Turner when he was the leader of the opposition in Ottawa. And then I started my own business, and I think I emulated both of my parents' career choices, in part in order to try and win their approval, and it never made it for me. It never made me happy. I never felt really like a whole authentic person, and when I was actually married and divorced along the way as well during the .com years, and when the marriage broke up, I did a lot of soul searching, and in fact I went back and started working in kitchens, and I worked at Lolita's Lust.
Oh yes, I've done the Danforth there.
Yeah, for many months for Laura and Johnny K and JC.
I heard somewhere that you were trying to open a tea store at the foot of the Himalayas. Is that true?
No, in fact, I did open a chai shop in the foothills of the Himalayas, and I had the concept of opening it when I went to George Brown College for culinary, and part of the course was that you have to conceive of a new restaurant concept. And the restaurant concept that I had was to open a tea house style of restaurant. It's something that I still haven't seen anybody do here in Toronto, and maybe in the future might be something that I'll look into. But because of my experience in India, opening a chai shop and serving food, I thought that might be something that I would do here as well. But instead of doing that, I actually was looking for locations, and at the same time I found this software program that helped people improve their English pronunciation. And my future ex-wife and I went into the software business together. I spent 4 years as first software people, and then we turned it into a .com nightmare. Got married and then divorced, and then the bottom fell out of the business, and we went our separate ways. So I had to decide, okay, what's next? And when I looked long and hard into my soul, it was all about the food, and I decided that I wanted to get back into restaurants and pursue my love of food and restaurants.
Now, what's the story about the Indian pizza parlor?
So that was part of that experience.
Okay.
I started working in restaurants, and I started working at the Magic Oven on DuPont and Spadina. Tony Saberwall, who owns the Magic Oven, was opening his first licensed dining room, as opposed to the takeout and delivery locations that he had before. And he needed a professional. He needed somebody who understood front of house service as well as food. And I'd actually spent about 5 years working and traveling around the world. So I was a bartender in London, England. I was a waiter and a barista in a coffee shop in Sydney, Australia. I started this chai shop in the foothills of the Himalayas. I took cooking lessons when I was in China. And I had worked in literally every position there was to work in a restaurant, except as a manager. And Tony gave me that opportunity to manage a fully licensed restaurant at DuPont and Spadina. I came 2 weeks after they opened the restaurant. It was very, very successful until I left. It's all about me. And what actually happened was, while I was working at the Magic Oven, I had friends and people who were working with me coming back from Montreal, and I asked them to bring me a Schwartz's smoked meat sandwich, and none of them did. And in a fit of food fanaticism, I said, why can't you find this product here? And you know what? I'm going to do it myself, not on a commercial basis, but my original idea was just, I'll make it. And I made it, and I took it into work, and people who are what I would say not culturally predisposed to love smoked meat, not necessarily Jewish people, loved what I made, and strongly encouraged me to offer it on a commercial basis. But I was broke, and I was not willing to go to my family or anybody else for money. So having already lost all of their money in my .com enterprise, of course, and Ezra Braves, who owns Ezra's Pound.
Yes.
I went next door and I was telling him about my smoked meat idea. And I said, I was thinking of doing this Toronto a la carte program, which was a piece of shit from day one.
What happened there? It was a disaster, wasn't it?
It was a disaster, and they were charging an outrageous amount of money. Like, for $40,000, why would I want to stand outside on a hot dog cart? If I have $40,000, you can rent a decent restaurant for that kind of money.
I guess you can do smoked meat because it's already cooked. So
well, this is exactly right.
Yes.
I could have qualified under the old hot dog regulations, but they put a moratorium on hot dog licenses because they were getting Toronto a la carte going. And of course, it's government, so it took them 2 or 3 years to do, and they had too many public policy goals: ethnically diverse, affordable, owner-operated, nobody could own more than one, and so on and so forth. And it just hasn't worked very well, and I feel badly for the people who put their faith in the leadership. So I told Ezra that was one idea. Second idea was to get a little tiny postage stamp of a place, like Jennifer Italiano when she started Live, her raw food place next door to Magic Oven. It originally started next door to that in this tiny
just a hole in the
little,
wall, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought I could do that. I could do like a little takeout sandwich place with I'd sell French fries and soup and sandwiches. And Ezra said to me, I was going to do the old-fashioned way with like a pot of oil on the stove and dunking the fries. He said, if you're busy, and you're going to be busy, you're going to burn yourself. You're going to kill yourself. Don't do it. Get a real restaurant. So I said, well, the other option is the Monarch. He said, what's the Monarch? And I said, well, there's this dive bar on Clinton Street up on the second floor that has a kitchen that nobody uses, and I think I can get it for free. He said, if you can get a kitchen for free, grab it. And I literally went from that conversation back to my other job, called Louis Cristello at the Monarch, and I said, I want to come and rent your kitchen. Actually, I said, I want to come and use your kitchen. Because when I went down there, he shows me around, and he says, okay, so what do you want to pay in rent? I said, rent? I'm not going to pay you rent. But I'll cover my own utility costs, and I'll bring in new customers, and we'll all make money. And he said, are you crazy? He said, are you insane? He said, do you really think you can compete with these very famous Italian sandwich places?
Because you have San Francesco there, you have all those pizza sandwich
exactly.
places.
He made
nearby.
it very clear that he wasn't going to stop
Because
people
that's
from
an old school
bringing.
ruling that people could bring their stuff in there. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the owners before the Cristello guys tried to stop people from bringing their sandwiches upstairs, and it killed their business. So he said, under no circumstances are we going to stop people from bringing up food. And originally the deal that I made with them was for $75 a week. I would rent the space, and it's the rest is history with the press that I got and the lineups and the craziness.
Well, you sold out.
Sold out on the first day, and then on the second week again, and we started having Geddy Lee and Lewis Black and Jamie Kennedy and some of the food community in Toronto really
they really embraced you,
wonderful.
actually. They
really
did.
have, and I never anticipated the press. I never anticipated the warmth of the food community in Toronto.
Now, having known you for a little while now, you've always come over as being quite a sensitive fellow, and I've noticed that in your blog and the way that you respond to people when they have issues. Now, you're dabbling in very dangerous waters having a deli, because everybody seems to know what makes a good deli sandwich, and everybody is everyone is a critic when it comes to that. How do you handle that? And you have all of this. People love you in the press. They absolutely adore you, and the food community adores you as well. Very cute, very cute. But then the dark side of that is then when you look at something like Chowhound, and then you read some of the comments on there. I mean, I'm a very
Those
sensitive.
people hate me. Yeah, I stopped reading Chowhound a year ago. When I read in August, before we'd open the doors here,
Yes.
that I jumped the shark, that the new place was going to be a failure, and it was all over for Caplansky's, I thought to myself, you know what? Let me open my doors before you call me a failure. And I said, you know what? You can't read your own press clippings. You can't get too high when people love you, and you can't get too low when people don't. But you're absolutely right, Jamie. It's a kvetch restaurant.
Yeah.
People, you know what you should do is a phrase that I hear multiple times every day. Everybody has an idea of what they want to see on the menu, or a better way of doing it, or how things should be in their own opinion. And the truth is, yes, it's my name on the door, and yes, I put pictures up all over the place of myself, but my ego isn't so grand that I think that it's all about me.
Yep.
It's about my customers, and I listen to what people tell me, and that's why on the new menu you'll see some radically different things, because this is what I've heard from customers that they want to see at Caplansky's. And it's important to me to always recognize that I'm a public servant. I'm in the service business. I serve my customers, and I do so proudly. And if people don't have a great experience, we created these, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, or even if I have one in my pocket. Yeah. I always keep them on me, these deli dollars. So, again, a picture of me, of course. I don't print something that doesn't have a picture of me on it. But if we've disappointed you, if you've waited too long, if you didn't like what you got, if you got the wrong thing, if anything happened that wasn't to your liking, you get 5 deli dollars, and you can use that when you come next time. And it's a way for us to not just comp a meal and say I'm sorry, but to try and build that relationship.